the dynamics of vote buying. In the 2004 study, only a few said that they will not accept any money. Virtually everyone said, yes, they will accept the money, but vote according to their own preferences, on condition that no one can trace the actual vote. As one young person said, utakan lang yan. So this was just a very brief snippet, and so that is why in 2016 we conduct the other study based on 4 different poor communities. And incidentally, in these poor communities, to qualify to be a part of the study, the person should be listed in the 4-piece recipients to ensure that they really are among the poor. So we asked the question, if somebody gives you money during a campaign period, is that vote buying or is it helping the poor? We see, interestingly, in Quezon City and Zamboanga City, an overwhelming majority saying, if you give money, that's vote buying. In Tacloban, the disaster poor, you have like 2/3 saying it's vote buying, but you have others saying, no, it's not. And in the rural poor, only about 37% said that's outright vote buying. You have the same proportion saying that the person giving money is actually helping the poor. So the urban poor generally see the giving of money during elections as vote buying, while the rural poor see the giving of money as vote buying, but also as helping the poor. Now we ask them, is accepting money selling your vote? So, not surprisingly, in Zamboanga and Quezon City, the majority said, yes, if you accept money, you're selling your vote. But we find in Tacloban, the disaster poor, very few, less than 20% say, that's less than 1/5 saying, yes, if you accept money, you are selling your vote. Then in Camarines Sur, also only about 1/3 say that if you accept money, you are selling your vote. The disaster poor and the rural poor tend not to say that accepting money is necessarily selling one's vote. And so now I will go to provide more details about the rural community in Camarines Sur where we conducted this study. And this is view from that, this is a view taken that I took in that community. When we talk about vote buying in a rural barangay, you really see that what is at work are alliance systems. That it is important that there is a well-structured alliance system that is put together just before the elections. And usually it is, and the alliance is between the mayoral candidate and the barangay. The mayor will then be connected to the governor, but we were not able so much to trace that upward, but we were able to trace downward. So there are what we call village brokers, those who go around talking to people, and these brokers are linked to the mayoral candidate. And in the village we studied, there were 2 alliance systems because there were 2 mayors. And the mayor in this municipality was not running for re-election because of the 3-term limit. So both candidates were running for the first time, and it was so intensely contested. The election was intensely contested. These brokers are identified by a local barangay point person, who forms these village brokers. That's our term, of course. And the brokers then make a listahan. And they think, who are the people that I know in this barangay whom I can try to convince, whom I can try to sway to vote for the mayoral candidate of my alliance. And then they say they consciously engaged in a period of courtship, nililigawan. And so they go to the house, or when they encounter them on the street, they ask general questions, kumusta, but at the same time, they interject the qualities of their candidate. It's not very forcible. It's because it has to be very subtle. Now, money is given, but when the money is given by the broker to the voter, the brokers do not explicitly say, I am giving you this money, vote for candidate X. They don't say that, but they say, here's the money, use it in whatever way you can. Maybe, you can help your family buy this or buy that. It's small sums, 300 pesos, maybe at the most 500 pesos. But they do not explicitly buy a vote. And then, this is what we found interesting. No money is actually given to a voter who has not yet made up his or her mind. A voter who is vacillating will not be given money, but only someone who has actually decided. Now, if you are the voter and you accept money, they will ask you to sign a piece of paper. Now, you see, people who are running this whole campaign are aware that brokers can actually, at the local level, can actually simply be pocketing the money for themselves. And so there is a form of accountability here where they ask the recipient to sign. And one broker said, we cannot just sign it ourselves. Mahahalata, iba naman dapat iba-iba yung sulat. Mahahalata nila. So they actually get a signature. What is, of course, on the side of the voter, if you sign, they will not be thinking that this is a way to avoid broker fraud, but they might be thinking, oh, I'm already committed because I have signed. So this is a very subtle thing. They never say, vote for this person, and yet you sign on a piece of paper. And then, so because this was a very tight race, they said, whenever there is a tight race, more money flood the village. And we observed that too because in Quezon City, there was virtually no contest for mayor. It was Joy Belmonte and no other credible candidate. So there was very little money that actually flowed to the Quezon City barangay that we studied. So we could hardly observe anything. But where there is an intense rivalry, more money will flow in. And they said that in this barangay, more money also came in from the national, quote unquote. That's what they said. And so more money came in. Now, because people know each other completely in this barangay, they know who is in which alliance. And so when you stake your vote for one alliance, that means you are excluding yourself from the other alliance. And if you happen to support the loser, that means that you can no longer seek help from the winning candidate, because the winning candidate will know from his or her alliance system that you belong to the other alliance network. So this is something very risky for a voter. So in a sense, you really have to weigh very clearly which candidate do you really prefer, which alliance do you join, because in the end, they said, at the end of the day, you are marcado. That's the word they use, you are marcado. They know who you are, and it's as if they say, they have a survey. It's like they have a bird's eye view of everyone in this barangay, and then they know who voted and who did not vote for this candidate simply because of the alliance system. Again, going back to what I presented earlier, in this rural barangay, 1/3 said giving money is vote buying, 1/3 said helping people, and less than 1/4 said it's both vote buying and helping money. But when they accept money, 1/3 said it's vote selling, which corresponds to the 1/3 saying, yes, if you give money, that's vote buying, so it's outright. 1/3 of the population of the village. 2/5 said, when you accept money, it's not necessarily vote buying. And over 1/5 said, they don't know. Now, we talked to these people and I asked them to explain what they said. And they said accepting money for the 1/3, they said, is inherently wrong. Daing data ang pagbakal ng boto. It's wrong to buy votes. And then it is not for life that one can get money from them. What I prefer is that I be given proper assistance. And then it would disregard your effort to know and think who among the candidates you should really vote for if you simply accept money. So for this 1/3, it's clearly wrong. For the rest, it's not necessarily wrong. Oh, here, there's still a statement that it's wrong, and this is, I'm afraid to accept money because in my mind, if you accept, that's where you'll be, even if that's not what I really like. Some voters said that candidates on winning office would recover the money they spent in elections, resulting in corruption and pilferage of the people's treasury, kaban ng bayan. So this is the 1/3 who say that accepting money is wrong. And few would accept the money and vote as they wished, because they already have a clear stance. But those who say that accepting money can be justifiable say that if the voter did not ask, but was given the money voluntarily, voluntad na itinao si kwarta, or sincerely, udok sa buot, then some voters consider it all right to accept the money and even vote for the candidate. Remember, at the end of a period of courtship by the village broker. Some people say, in fact, that if you accept money, you accept them because this is a form of help. It's tabang. He says, because I'm a voter, I don't ask for money. If it is given voluntarily to me, that's a big thing and help given to us. For us, it is good because we have no money. It's good that someone's giving. We're desperate. It helps the poor. But then note what this person says. But perhaps if we had money, just enough money, vote buying is really wrong as far as I'm concerned. So this is a person balancing the needs of the family and because of their extreme poverty and what to do when cash is made available. They know it's wrong, but it can help alleviate hunger. And then this one has a different perspective. So he says, that's helping. Pagtabang yan. I'm saying that they are asking for help. The candidate is asking for help. So, I help them. It's not vote buying. But when you have helped them, and when they win and are seated in their post, the poor people who seek their help should be given assistance. That's what I like. They buying my vote? No. So this person sees the exchange of vote and assistance as a transaction, as a mutual help and mutual dependence. You help, I help you, you help me. It's only a fair exchange. He does not see it as vote buying. So they buying my vote? Not at all. When our team looked at all the answers throughout the four municipalities, 4 barangays that we looked into, we came up with an acronym to explain the voter perspective of BREAD, B-R-E-A-D, just to make it easier. Biyaya, rightful money, earned money, accessible or easy money, and dead money. Those that say that money is biyaya, says these are, the first one is from Quezon City, bibilin yung boto mo. Pero ako naman, kung wala akong katabi, kukunin ko. Kahit ma-videohan ako, di naman po sila sigurado na yung kandidato nila ang iboboto ko. Biyaya po yun, di ba? And another one from Tacloban said, kung may magbigay, sino ba ang hindi tatanggap? Kahit pareho pa silang kandidato magbigay, tatanggapin ko para makabili ako ng bigas. R for bread, rightful money. This one has a justification that we found in Quezon City. He says, galing sa buwis natin yan eh. Parang bumalik lang yung VAT. Yung sa bawat binili mo sa tindahan. Buwis mo yan eh, buwis ko yan. Pero ako sigurado ako ang iboboto ko yung totoo talaga, yung nakakatulong. Another person said, yung perang pinamimigay nila galing din naman sa mga tax, di ba? Ang mga perang yan na ipinamimigay nila ay galing naman sa amin. Galing sa mga tao naman, di ba? So, this is to explain why they accept the money. It's their rightful money. And this one is from Zamboanga. They said, yung binigay sa akin, pinag-usapan namin na kung boboto ko ulit, magbibigay siya ng 200. This guy is saying that he was actually a commissioned, if you like, employed to be a flying voter. And for 200 pesos, he was a flying voter. And yun ang usapan nila. And he says he earned that money. And then this other one said, because he was a flying voter in another, they went to Holo, sumama kami sa Holo dahil may bayad naman. Nagbakasyon ka na, may bayad pa. And accessible money, or easy money, somebody from Quezon City said, pero kaming mahihirap, sasagpangin namin yan. Kasi pera yan eh. Pero ang hindi nila alam, hindi namin talaga sila iboboto. Talagang yung nasa loob ko pa rin. Kukunin ko lang yung pera para mapakinabangan ko. Somebody from Tacloban said, hindi naman ako nang hingi. Binigay niya sa akin. So bakit hindi ko tatanggapin? Hindi makukonsider na vote buying yung pagbibigay ng pera. Kahit na alam natin na may gusto siyang iparating. Ikaw pa rin ang pipili sa gusto mong iboto. And then finally, dead money from this rural barangay that we studied in Camarines Sur. He says, that is actually gadan na kwarta. It's dead money. Sino naman ang tontong tao na pera na yan, hindi ko yan hihindian. Pero kahit nangyari yan sa aking buhay, hindi ko yan pinakain sa pamilya ko. Pag pinakain mo kasi ang anak mo ng galing sa maling pamamaraan, ang nadidevelop din sa isip niya, mali na rin. Gagawa na yan ng mali. Ang ginagawa ko na lang, pinapainom ko na lang kasi sabi ko, hindi ko naman ito tinuluan ng pawis, kaya hindi ko ito ipapakain sa pamilya ko. Patay na pera, gada na kwarta. We can see that there is no common and absolute. The giving and accepting of money can be seen as vote buying, but it can also be seen as a blessing to help the poor, the return of taxes paid, and as a fair transaction. People situate their conduct during elections within some ethical justification. Vote buying and vote selling operations are subject to local dynamics. So it varies from municipality to municipality, from region to region. So point number 5, the poor are guided by their own moral considerations within their own local settings. And these voter education should take into account. So in summary of the 5 points that we raised, let me just recap. First, voter education can build on people's notions of leadership to help them assess individual candidates. Number 2, the poor realize that elections represent a most unusual period when the normal rules of society are suspended. Voter education must be sensitive to this peculiarity. Number 3, that the poor have profound reasons for participating in elections, they see it as an obligation or as a right, must be recognized in voter education. Number 4, the poor follow their own rationalities in choosing the candidates they prefer, which can be reinforced in voter education. And number 5, the poor are guided by their own moral considerations within their local setting, which voter education should take into account. This image that appeared in the last national election of a woman blinded by money is totally demeaning and inaccurate. As we have seen from the data, the poor vote is a thinking vote. And we have also seen that the poor consider the ethics of their vote. We may not agree with their ethics, but they are not amoral beings. They have their own ethical perspective and the realities of their poverty to consider. So here I end my presentation. Diyos mabalos po sa inyong kapos. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. June. And pwede na ho tayong magtanong. Siguro po pwede niyong i-type ang inyong mga tanong sa... Gusto niyo ba i-type o gusto mag